Hello, everybody. Leave a Legacy, episode number 65. Want to focus on the struggle on the path of success. I think a lot of times people think that they should be entrepreneurs or they should be running their own business, but they don't possess the discipline, the dedication, and the commitment. And it's not about being smart enough or having the greatest ideas, or even being first to market. Because I would actually argue that most companies that are first to market don't actually have the lion's share. Now, there are some exceptions to that. However, you find that many companies come in and then dominate when there has been a pioneer in the industry, and all of a sudden they get kind of beat to the punch at their own game. And that's because they forgot at the core of who they are, really they were innovators, and they got away from that process and that struggle. And so the interesting thing about the path of success is that it's riddled with struggles, setbacks, confusion, doubt, darkness, small glimmers of hope and success. And when I define success here in this one, I mean they're getting the results that they want. And this path continues in that process continually, almost like the stock market does, in that it goes up and down, but over time, it's slowly going upwards. Hopefully, in an ideal scenario, that's the way that your business is marketed, and it's the way that it's progressing. One thing to recognize is that you might fall in love with whatever you're selling or the services that you're providing. If the marketplace, and that means the people that you're talking to, don't find value and ultimately then don't buy, then you need to then reevaluate, are you in the right space? Do you have the right client focus? Or do you need to retool everything altogether? The struggle that people have is that they get so romanticized on what they're doing, they don't realize that the end user, the customer, is really always right. You might have the greatest technology, but if the consumer doesn't really want to buy it, then it really doesn't matter what it is. You could create the fastest train from, central Indiana to central Illinois, and nobody wants to take it because nobody wants to go on that route. So you need to think real hard about what it is that you're providing to from a value or a product perspective to the community, to the public, and then recognize that the results that you're getting back from sales is really indicative of whether you're on the right path. And so I think oftentimes as entrepreneurs, we have a tendency to think it's like the Field of Dreams method. If I build it, they will come. The harsh reality is that's just not true. You might build it and nobody shows up. So think about what it is that you're doing. And I find the beauty of the struggle to be ideal in really hardening your commitment to ultimately what you want. And those that are really committed, that are dedicated, that don't mind putting in the long hours to get ultimately what they want, they will have the stickability to continue to be there. And I love the phrasing that we are built in the crucible of defeat, and we will rise up out of the ashes like a phoenix. And so as you think about where you are in your process of entrepreneurship and startup and build out and career advancement, it becomes extremely important for you to be able to recognize what is your value to the marketplace, what are the struggles and challenges that you're facing, and how do you start overcoming those and really get forward, really get strong, really get hard in your resolve to be the conqueror. I find that those that have the stickability, they have the patience to endure the struggle, they have the mindset to say, okay, how do I get around this? How do I get around this? How do I get around this? Nope, I got to blast through this. Those that find out the solutions are going to find themselves here still in the business, in their career, still thriving and maybe just surviving depending on kind of where they're at. The other thing to recognize is that even if you're not a salesperson, at some point you got to sell this thing to someone. And so recognize your strengths. Are you a real good technician? Are you a visionary? And so you need a technician, or are you a visionary but you have a hard time selling it, so you need more of a manager to be able to come in and put in some systems and processes to really get this baby off the ground. I find a lot of strong partnerships end up evolving this way, where someone plays that role of the entrepreneur, this visionary, and then you have this other person that plays the manager that's able to put the systems, the processes, is able to deliver on the vision that the entrepreneur has, and then ultimately they hire a bunch of technicians that really can get down to the nitty and gritty and get things accomplished. And so as you're finding yourself struggling with that, you might want to reach out to and study the book E-Myth Revisited, and identify your system and process, and how do you systematize that to remove yourself from the equation, so that way the process and system can continue without you. And once you've started to identify that your removal from the business, then you start identifying the real gaps that exist. Now, when you first start out, unfortunately, you have to wear all those hats. You just have to make sure that you turn off. If I'm right now in the managerial day-to-day, looking at the past history to delve with today, I need to take that hat off at some point throughout the week, put on the entrepreneur hat, and say, okay, vision-wise, where do we want to go? What's the next evolution of this? And so that way you continually change with the results that you're getting back from what the manager's telling you. Community. The question that I have for you is, what are you doing to systematize your business? Have a fantastic day.